Welcome to lesson number 4. Hopefully you guys have been progressing really well in learning piano or maybe improving at piano. What I want to focus on in this video is how to handle some unique type of chords that you might see on some sheet music. And we're basically going to spend the whole video just looking at these types of chords. And what this is going to do is this is going to expand the types of chords, being able to recognize the different types of chords, and of course play them in preparation of filling in your piano playing. So there are some really good piano players throughout our fellowship, especially now with the coronavirus pandemic. You can tune into a lot of different churches that are live streaming not only their sermons but the song services before as well, and just give you an ear of all the piano players that we have in our fellowship and just how good they've gotten. And so a lot of that is come, through understanding music, of course, practice, of course. And so what I want to feed you is kind of a stepping stone to being able to fill in your piano playing, all right? So with that, let's get started. All right, so for starters, I want to go over a chord that's called a suspended chord. And I'll show a number of them here on the screen. So you'll see this through music fairly often, even in song service music. So I want to show you guys how to play a suspended, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to associate it to a pattern. That way we don't have to get super deep into music theory and make it too complicated. So I want to try to simplify it for you guys as much as possible, okay? So for starters, we're going to play a C chord. So I'm going to have a C major, my 1, 5, and 8. All right? And what we're going to do is when you're playing a suspended, all you have to do is drop this middle note, and you're going to move it a half step up. So that means the key immediately next to it. Whether it's a white or a black key, you're going to move a half step. So a half step is the immediate key next to it. A whole step jumps a key, all right? So if I were to, scaling it back, if I were to jump a whole step from this E note, I'd be going up to an F sharp. But I'm going a half step, so I'm going to an F, all right? So suspended is a half step up from your middle note. Your fifth key, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, move it up a half step, all right? So if you put it all together, instead of 1, 5, 8, it's technically 1, 6, 8. It's a really, really nice sounding chord. And a lot of times when you're playing a suspended, you'll do what's called a resolve. So you'll play your suspended and you'll come back to the original chord. So this is a C suspended, back to a C. C suspended, back to a C, all right? So now I'll move up to a D. Here's a D chord, D major. Here's a D suspended. We're going to move up a half step. You'll notice I'm letting off of that fifth note. If you play them all together, it kind of gets a little bit muddy. So you want to just play 3 notes at a time in this case. And resolve. D suspended. And resolve. Back to the D. All right? So that's how you play a suspended chord. All right? So the next one that I want to move on to is called a second, or second chords. Twos, you can also call them. Similar concept. We're just going to go in the other direction now. So I'm going to play a C major chord again. And this time I'm going to jump to the third note. So 1, 2, 3. All right? So you can say 2 half steps or a whole step from your root note. All right? So in this case, it's a D note. So if I'm playing a C, same idea. I'm going to lift off my middle finger and I'm going to replace it with this second note. C major and a C2. All right? So what you could do, you can have some fun and you can practice a second to a major chord to a suspended back to your original major chord, back to a second. All right? Sounds like this. Second, your regular chord, suspended, your regular chord, second. All right? So just practicing it up and down. And of course, getting some songs to practice these two will really help as well. All right? So now we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. This was one of the things that really drove me crazy. I remember when I was a lot younger, my oldest sister, really good piano player, she sat down and she taught me sevenths, and it's really scary. It was really scary for me at first, but once you familiarize yourself with a pattern, you know, it could be a lot easier to find. All right? Sometimes you'll see a chord like a C7 or a D7, an A7, and so that pattern is what you're going to do is you're going to play your original chord. In this case, we're going to stick with the C chord, and when you're playing a seventh, it's going to be 2 half steps down or a whole step down from your root note. So in this case, our root note is the C. So 2 half steps down is 1, 2, or a whole step down. All right? So then what we're going to do is we're going to have to change our fingering position, because you can either play that note down below. This is how I prefer to play it. I play my sevenths typically with my thumb, but you can also play it up on top. So you can see here it's a B flat note. You can move that B flat up to here. All right? So depending on where you prefer to play that chord, that note is going to determine how to place your fingers. All right? So I'm going to give you both examples, and in this case I'll play the B flat up high above the chord. So I'm going to use my first, second, and fourth to give me my chord, and my fifth, or my pinky, is going to be that seventh. All right? There you go. Or you can switch it to play the B flat or your seventh note below the chord. So in this case, I'm going to use fingers 2, 3, and 5 to play my chord, and my first finger or my thumb is going to play that seventh. All right? So it just depends on what's comfortable for you, but this is going to be something you're going to have to just sit down and practice. Pick a chord, okay, move up to a D chord. All right, now you can play your seventh. Now this is a trick that you could use if you have, you know, we're jumping a whole step, so we're skipping a note. This is going to be the note we're skipping, so we're going to move down to this note here. So a trick that you can implement is, instead of trying to play, you know, use multiple fingers, is your thumb can actually play 2 notes together at the same time. So this is actually a D7. All right? So it just depends on where the chord is being played. If you're playing where 2 white keys are right next to each other and it's a whole step jump, then you can use this trick. In the case of the C7, you can't really use your thumb because you'll hit this white note, and we don't want to hit that white note in this case. That's a different kind of chord, which actually I'm going to show you next. All right? So that's how you play sevenths. 2 half steps down from your root note. Or, if you want to, 3 half steps up from your last note. Okay? So then next we're going to go to a major seventh. Now you might say, well, isn't that what you just showed me? Well, there's actually a difference. If you're playing a seventh, it's just going to be the chord and a number 7. A C7, an A7, a D7, an F sharp 7, because F sharp is a note on its own. But then you're going to see a C Maj 7. That's different than just a C7. And so what the pattern is, it's actually very similar to the one we just learned. Instead of doing a whole step down from your root note, you're going to move a half step. All right, so very close, and it can be very tricky. So again, this is just something you'll need to familiarize yourself with as you practice. All right, so play a C. In this case, we could use that thumb trick. All right, that's a C major 7th. It's a half step down from my root note. So if I were playing a D, it's It's kind of hard to play your thumb on a black and a white because of the different size of the key and the location. So in this case, I'll just adjust my fingers. All right. Same with an E. Here's an E chord. Adjust my fingers. There's an E major 7. Okay, back down. D major 7. There's a C major 7. All right. So keep in mind a difference between major 7ths and just 7ths. All right. All right. So the last one that I want to go over in this video is how to play a minor 7. All right, so this pattern is very similar to a 7th, but because we're dealing with minor chords, we got to go over it. So it's the same pattern, but just keep in mind this applies to minors. All right, this can get very confusing because you're dealing with a minor 7th, and it's a similar pattern to the 7th. But don't get confused with the major 7th. Okay, all three are unique in a way. So a minor 7th, what you're going to do is we'll play a C minor. All right, so 1 4 8 you'll remember is the pattern. All right, if you haven't seen my first video, go back and watch that video. Of course, I show you how to play major and minor chords. So this is a C minor, and what you're going to do is you're going to keep the 2 half step down pattern, or the whole step down from your root of your minor chord. All right, so we're playing a C minor, 2 half steps down. All right. So you might be thinking, well, that's the same as a 7th. It is. It's the same idea as a 7th. It's the same pattern as a 7th, but this applies to minor chords specifically, okay? All right, so just a recap. A 7th is 2 steps down, 2 half steps down, or a whole step down from your root note. And this is for major chords, all right? And then you have a C major 7, which is just 1 half step down from your root note. And that'll be identified by a MAJ 7. And then the last one is a minor 7, where you play your minor chord and 2 half steps or a whole step down from that root note. Okay? So challenge yourself. Write out some chords. Write out an F7. Write out a F major 7 and then an F minor 7. That's going to be written in F small m 7. And then practice the patterns that I've shown you and learn how to play each of these chords. All right? So one of the songs that Prescott has just introduced at the last, I think, 2 conferences, maybe more, maybe less, but is a song, When I Think About the Lord. I really enjoy this song. It's a good song. But this song is crazy in the sense that it has tons of just about everything we've learned in this video. It has 7ths, it has major 7ths, it has minor 7ths, and it even has a suspended in there. The only thing it doesn't have is the second or the 2 chords. So what I'll do is I'll attach this piece of sheet music to the PDF, and I'll link in the description down below. That way you can go and just practice this song. It's really busy. This is a perfect song to practice everything that we've learned up to this point. Because not only are you playing your basic chords, you can play with your left-hand octaves, but it actually gives you split chords as well. So it'll give you really good practice at split chords. 7ths, you have sharps in there, you have minors in there, you have, like I said, major, minor 7ths, suspended 7ths. So this is loaded with tons of practice material. I'm not telling you to just go and play it and be perfect at it the first time. In fact, when I was prepping for this lesson, I had to practice this song a few times over just to familiarize my fingers, my muscle memory with how to play this song. So it's just part of practicing the song. So take that, practice it, and you guys will get there. All right. All right, so there you go. That wraps it up for this video. Now we've gone over, a variety of more complex types of chords. Go ahead and practice your suspended chords, your second chords, your 7ths, your major 7ths, your minor 7ths, all of these chords. Lock them in, get them down really well. pull some sheet music that has some of these chords mixed in. You know, pull out your songbook in whatever form it's in, weed through all of your songs, and pull out any song that has these types of more complex chords, all right? And lock them in, practice them, and of course, this will just make you better. This will just get you more familiar with playing the piano. And it's easy to kind of take a shortcut and say, I'm not going to play the second, I'm not going to play the suspended or the seventh, I'm just going to play the C major chord by itself. I mean, technically you can do that, but the song is designed to have a particular sound. And when we play the right chords, it sounds the way it's supposed to sound. So I want to encourage you to try to establish that discipline of saying, you know what, I'm going to play the right chord. You know, you have the resources that'll help you get to that. And like I said, it'll make your piano playing better. It'll help your song service sound really nice. And so, you know, take that. If you have any questions, of course, reach out to me. You can email me at worldcfmmusic@gmail.com, or you can go to the website where the PDF for this lesson will be attached. I'll give some visuals on how to play these chords, and that's on worldcfmmusic.com, all right? So you go ahead, check it out, use those resources, reach out to me with any questions, and I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. If you guys are learning piano, you know, let me know how it's going. And, you know, if there are any types of needs or concerns in your song services, if you're a pioneer pastor out there and there's some things that you need help with, I ask you to reach out to me, because what I can do is I can use these questions and I can put out a video with information that might help you in these areas of need, all right? So feel free to use this resource to help you guys out. And so with that, we're going to bring it to a close. Thank you guys for watching. Really try to lock in this practicing, because in our next video, we're going to work on filling in your piano playing. Some really exciting stuff that makes piano playing sound really nice, and it makes it really exciting, really, all right? So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing and commenting and telling other people about this. And we'll take it another step on the next video, all right? You guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.